Welcome back to Crossbow Appreciation Month, only here on Death by Bunjie. I've got Bunjie loaded up with a 563 grain zombie slayer arrow and on the Bog Death Grip tripod. If you're interested in the gear that I use, I get this question from time to time. Check out deathbybunjie.com, the gear page on there, and you can see all the gear that I use. I do little write-ups of them and all that kind of stuff. There's links that go to Amazon sponsored links and all that kind of stuff. So go check that out. But the purpose of this video is to show you the difference between 25 and 30 yards. And no, it's not just 5 yards. Remember the video I just did, you just saw here in Crossbow Appreciation Month about shooting flat, how flat the arrow looked, and how then we measured it on the screen, kind of compared it on the screen with a straight line and realized that there is quite a bit of an arc to that arrow. And regardless of the distance that we shoot, that arc becomes really, really drastic at the end of that arc, right? So whether it's 20 yards or 40 yards or 60 yards, doesn't really matter. The end of that arc drops off more than the rest of that arc. That's just a factor of gravity and air resistance. That's all that is. And it's going to happen no matter what. No way around it as long as we're hunting with our crossbows here on planet Earth. Okay, that's really pretty much the deal. Unfortunately, though, that's where the arrow is the most important, at the end of that arc, right? Because that's where it impacts the target, or even more importantly, the animal that we're hunting. So it's really that arc at the very end. That's the most important thing. And what I'm going to try and demonstrate in this video is the value of exact, precise accuracy, exact yardages. You can't have exact accuracy, perfect accuracy, without exact yardages. You have to know your distances. The Burris Oracle X crossbow scope right there, you know, if you look at that, I love that scope. Got some more videos coming on that. Stay tuned. I'm serious. This is going to be good stuff. Crossbow Appreciation Month there's lots more coming. Constantly evolving. If you don't evolve, you die. That's how it works, right? We adapt or die. We continue to evolve. So I'm going to continue to evolve as a crossbow hunter and share that journey with you. Part of that is going to involve this Oracle X. Now, I still love that scope, and I'll show you the value of that. If you look back last year, some of you Friends of Bunjie might remember last year during our Maryland hunting trip, Genevieve and I were down there, and I took Bunjie with me out several times. Killed a bunch of deer with Bunjie last year. This old, slow crossbow from 2010. Can you believe that? Bunjie never lets me down. I might let Bunjie down, right? But Bunjie does not let me down. Where have we heard that before? The OB. The original Bunjie never lets me down. I might let the original Bunjie down, but the OB does not let me down. That's a fact. That's the same video. In that video, I talk about one of the problems that I've had over the years with this old slow crossbow is spining deer, right? You aim, the deer ducks a little bit, you hit the deer. That one, however, can't be blamed entirely on the speed of this old crossbow. Me shooting that doe, spining that doe, has a lot to do not just with the speed of the crossbow, but also misjudging distance. Now there, I was not using the Oracle on this. Okay? I didn't have that range-finding scope on this crossbow. Instead, I was using a traditional rangefinder. And I had a familiarity with that hunting location. Hunted there lots of times in the past. Lots and lots of times, maybe a dozen times or more. And so I was familiar with the distances and that layout, right? But this deer was not coming to the corn, was not at the 20-yard line where that corn was. The deer was beyond that. So as the deer moved further away and continued to move further away, I'm increasing the reticle, lifting the barrel of the crossbow, and going between the 20 to the 25, kind of in the middle between 20 and 30 on the scope. And then I'm shooting as far as I ended up using the 30-yard reticle on a deer that was probably 25 yards away based on looking at the video today. She's somewhere between 25 and 30 yards using the 30-yard reticle. Bunjie and I, we're going to take that shot. So, long story short, today, what I'm going to do here in the 60-yard backyard, I've got a deer target set up. Jimmy Big Time. I hope they are paying royalties to Jimmy Big Time for the use of Jimmy Big Time, right? I love Jimmy Big Time. I loved that show. So anyway, I've got a deer target out here. Jimmy Big Time is at 25 yards exactly. And then there's a bag target at exactly 30 yards, right? And the reason I set them at those distances is I'm going to sight in with the Burris, dead on at 30, get the little red dot on the 30-yard line, and then I'm going to use that 30-yard dot to shoot this deer target. And I'm going to do that so we can see the difference in arrow flight and see the difference in the elevation of the arrow. So in other words, I'll be shooting as though it's 30 even though it's 25. Same thing I did in Maryland in that video. I'm going to take the Bunjinator here and I am going to ease the safety off. We're going to see what we can do. Like I said, I'm going to sight in on that little bag target, and that we have at 30 yards. I've been given a dot on there, but I've got that dot as though it's 30 yards. I'm aiming at the bottom. I know this shot's going to be high because I've got that dot set as though it's a little bit further away. This shot should go a little bit higher than what I would otherwise expect at 25 yards. So we're going to see how much difference that is. I will put the dot on the screen. It's going to be at the bottom. Heart shot here, and we're going to see what happens, okay? That way I stay within the foam part of the target. All right. So there's the shot. It was pretty much what I expected. There aren't too many surprises there. The old Bunjinator did a good job, took a shot for me, and worked out pretty good. That crossbow, man, I love that thing. Really, the shot, I'm aiming a little, it's only 3 inches difference, but when you combine that with a living animal that ducks, right, especially at the longer yardages beyond 20 yards with that old slow crossbow, if you're shooting 450 feet per second, you got a whole different schematic here, a whole different measurement to take into account. But with this old slow crossbow, the concept is still the same, right? There becomes a distance where you exceed your maximum effective range, where that animal will move in response to the sound of the crossbow going off. I should point out also, you don't need to do this test in the backyard necessarily. You can go on deathbybunjie.com, go to our calculators page. I got a joint calculator project with old Grumpy Hunter. He did a lot of work putting these calculators together. I was more of the idea man, right? I came up with the idea for these different calculators. But look at those calculators, you can play around with them, and one of those, or actually 2 of them, gives you the ability to see the difference in an arrow's flight and in point of impact between 2 yardages. So you can type in the specs of your arrow. I did that here. It was close to 4 inches, I think, was the difference that I was expecting. Hopefully, for future videos, for future shots, that crossbow won't have that issue so much because the Burris Oracle X will give me exact yardages. I don't care if it's 20 and 23. Right? If the deer's at 23 and I'm shooting as though it's 20, I'm still going to be okay. Still going to be okay because I'm going to be shooting as though it's 23, not 20, right? That's the idea behind that. And you can do the same thing with other scopes, right? You can do the same thing with a rangefinder, right? But you got to know that stuff, right? And you have to take that into account. Let's go look at that arrow. All right, let's wander out here, see what we got going on with Jimmy Big Time. And boy, I so much for the point of this video because that looks like a perfect shot. But with a little explanation, you will see what the point is here, because, no pun intended, I was aiming here and it's actually about 3 inches high. I expected to be a little bit higher, like 4 inches high, and I just want to make sure I kept it inside this foam insert here. I didn't want to hit up here or miss the target entirely, or, you know, spine the poor guy or anything like that. So that's what I was aiming at. I was actually aiming down here. It did go a little bit high. It's like 3 inches high. But that's the difference between shooting at this buck, big old Jimmy Big Time, at 25 yards when I was aiming as though he was at 30 yards. Man, is it bright out here. Let's see what we can do here. So that's the difference between 25 yards and 30 yards. It's not 5 yards. No, it's 4 inches. So there. Anyway, I hope you got something out of this video. You see the difference. I hope your crossbow is perfectly dialed in, and I wish you the best in this upcoming crossbow season, as well as the rest of Crossbow Appreciation Month. Until next time, all hail Bunjie.